Hello, welcome. And it's 12 o'clock exactly. And like every Tuesday, we are here to connect with you and to, talk a little bit more about coaching, mentoring, but also therapies. But in is the intention of these episodes is always to give you new perspectives about things. And I want to say that next week we are going to have a very great, amazing guests, just for you to put already in your agenda that we are going to have that. And today I'm going to, let's say, go back to a topic that we already spoke about, because at that time I had some technical issues, and I think the topic deserves that you can hear me properly, and yeah, deserves the right attention. So I'm going back to that topic, and the topic of today is about the two master skills for coaches and mentors, but also for therapists. I would say, to be totally transparent with you guys, that it's two master skills for life. I know, looks a little bit broad, but it's true. And um, I realize that the use of these two skills, they really can transform our lives, and that's why I think they need, of course, for coaches and mentors to become to enter a level of mastering. Hello from France. So I must say that I have now something coming in. Tell me, Adriana, do you know something? That's well. Ah, okay. So my daughter is waiting for some important news. So this idea that for coaches and mentors, these skills they need to go to a master level. But of course, we use these tools and these skills. Let me put it this way, every day. And the most amazing thing is that we are natural with it. We have the skills as a standard thing for all of us. And the thing is, we need to make sure that when we become coaches and mentors, these skills they need really to go to a different path. They need to go to a different point of our process. So
Oh my god, yes!
my daughter is receiving the news.
Oh, dankjewel.
She passed.
Oh. Oh.
In life. So my daughter passed. She has a diploma, and this is life. I'm so sorry, but they said that we'll call her 12, so we got the good news. I'm a little bit shaky. Seems like she's. Oh my God, she passed, so she's going to her dream course of interior design, and yeah, this life. Congratulations! So I must be crying. I'm so sorry. She's coming. I'm live, sweetie.
I didn't even get on camera.
Come here, come here. Oh my love. Oh, I'm so happy.
And I did 1.7.
I'm so happy. Your present. I'm so happy. So I'm so sorry. This is a milestone for us. I'm so happy. And I didn't record it because I was here with you guys. So I'm sorry. So you can see how I look happy. Okay. Okay, let's focus. So I'm trembling. I'm trembling. I'm really trembling. Thank you so much. You are so sweet. Okay. Um, so what I was saying is that oh, thank you so much. When what I was saying is that these skills that we have that I'm going to say here today is that they are natural skills for us. As humans, we are made to do this. But of course, when we are going to coaching and mentoring, then we need to upgrade. Yeah? We need to go to the master level. And this is what I want to talk about. Okay. First, I'm going to talk, of course, about the skill as yeah, normal is being used. And then maybe some ideas how you can put this in a master zone. Okay. So you heard me already. And if you saw the episode before, they are I'm going to say already the name because maybe you already know. So we have the rapport and we have calibration. These two main things, we need to keep them really, really, really alive, rapport and calibration. So rapport, I'm going to use the definition of John Grinder, the founder, one of the founders, sorry, of neurolinguistic programming. And I think is the definition that really represents, in my view, what rapport is. And of course, John Grinder was the one bringing, and with his colleagues in the 70s with neurolinguistic programming studies, he was the one bringing that to life. So I think he's the best person to define them, to define this, right? So John Grinder says rapport is the ability of us catching and keeping the attention of the conscious and subconscious of someone else or ourselves. So that means that is basically catching the other person and keeping the attention of that person. Yeah. And calibration, also the definition that I'm going to use is coming from John Grinder, is detecting the difference that promotes the difference. So, like you can see, these are two things that we are able to do in a daily basis, right? We are able to connect with other people. We are able to even belong and to feel belonging, right? So we are always looking for people that we feel alike as well. So because then it's easier to catch that person and to keep the attention of that person, right? And we all have the possibility of detecting first, something here is different, and if that difference brings more difference. We all have this ability. Some of us are more connected with this ability than others, but we all have it, right? Do you agree with me, right? You have it, you see other people having it. So it's simple like that. The thing is why this is so important for coaching and for mentoring and therapy and basically every work with people, because first of all, rapport is the possibility of building trust. You cannot work and transform someone else or support, let me put it this way, supporting the transformation of someone else if they don't trust you. That is not that is not possible. Even when you are using, for instance, some techniques that some coaches use, like provocation and some techniques that are going to shake a little bit more the person, is even more relevant that that is done with trust, right? And rapport is the only way. The only way is that you can catch the other person and the other person looks at you and think, oh, this person is like me, this alike, right? So that the person really trusts. Yeah. The this is the main thing, is that I sometimes see people continuing. So for instance, they have a client and the trust is broken some way somehow, and they continue. It's like, no, you cannot continue, because nothing is really being done. Or let me put it this way, sometimes even worse, because you are producing violence and trauma. But for sure, if you want to be doing in a healthy and in high quality coaching, therapy, or mentoring, you need to, the person needs to trust you. The person needs to know that whatever you are going to do is for our own safety and healthy. So if that is not there, can be that you are even producing more problems, producing more stress, for instance. So rapport is something that, for instance, my students don't go, they don't go anywhere, they don't pass if they don't have this skill. You can even, let's say, be a little bit more weak on questions, or you can be a little bit weak on, for instance, getting a big number of tools for you to use in your coaching. But you will not pass if you are not able to build rapport with your client. That's a no-go, because I think that nothing good can come from there. So this for me is very, very, very important. And the ability for us to take this to a master um, position is really to train ourselves to observe, is really to be observe and be willing to follow. That willingness to follow someone else and let go of our own way of thinking, our own, sometimes even our own knowledge, right? For instance, let me just give you an example. I have knowledge in psychology. I have knowledge in for instance, anatomy as well. So sometimes I look to someone and I think, oh, I think, that your brain does that, right? You look, you hear, and you're like, oh, maybe this is it. No, to do rapport, you cannot be doing that, because then you are in yourself just imposing that idea or that mindset, right? So to do rapport, you need to say, okay, I don't know anything about this. I'm just observing and I'm just following you. Um, yeah, exactly. That said, some so a comment is saying you have to realize when you are unable to help someone because you are not connecting. Exactly. If in some moment you cannot connect with that person, you need to be able to say, I'm not the right person for you, right? And it's nothing about the other person, it's about you. It's about you not being able to connect. I have a funny example, when I was starting many years ago, I had a client that he was cursing a lot. And I'm not that type of person. But every time that I was rephrasing him, yeah, I needed to use the same words, right? And I remember that I like, oh my God, I need to be able to do this. And took me one session, to be honest, took me one session to me to realize and saying, okay, this is not about me. This is not me cursing. This is me connecting with my client. And still, took me a while to get in the rhythm. But yeah, I was so aware that every time that he was saying one of these words, my face will be like, okay, I could feel my judgment upon that. So I needed to stop and getting myself able to do it before I could continue working with this person. So it was a huge learning. Huh? So that's an example, but of course can happen also sometimes in our own values. We are not able to connect with that person, or for instance, I don't know, in what, um, yeah, sometimes the topic that the person is bringing is so strong for you that maybe you need to realize, okay, maybe I'm still not in that point. I'm still not in that moment to help someone with this topic. For sure, that is so important. So I don't know if you want, if you have any questions about rapport, if you would like me to explore or even give you more examples. Um, yes, adapting to his language. Yes, otherwise he will not, basically get me. Yeah, but also sometimes, for instance, the technical. You know, I see this sometimes happening. The person has so much technical vocabulary that they give that to the client, and like the client will like, okay, I don't know what that is. So you need really to adapt um, your language. Yes, you have three ways of building rapport. Okay, is with your words, and that is adapting your language, and that is your voice, adapting your voice and volume, pace to your client, and adapting your nonverbal, so your body language. So that is three ways that you can build the first rapport. Of course, then you have much more. Like you can, for instance, distinguish. Sometimes you can really clearly distinguish what is the type of work that people do, right? By the way that they dress, where they are, right? So you can almost detect, oh, this person maybe is in this field, because they look alike. That is rapport, right? Or for instance, the other day I went to a concert with my middle one, and yeah, they were all dressed a little bit like, all the same, even with the same type of skirt, because was that artist and was that concert, and they have even they were more or less in the same colors because it's the color that the artist brings. So that's rapport. That's rapport. And values can be a great way to build rapport. So it's many and different ways of building rapport. For instance, people with white hair, we build rapport with each other because we understand a little bit the world that we are in, right? So several ways of building rapport, but the most beautiful thing is the idea that when we build rapport, we are really following. And I think that is a great way to build up also the most or the biggest potential for communication. Um, yes, is for sure is a ability to listen. Yes, without that your brain starts thinking, do I like it? Do I agree? Do I know this? Now, but the question is, for instance, how can I do that? How can I listen to someone that fully? You know, that is I think the main thing. And one of the ways that I teach my students is stop thinking. I know. And now people are like, how do I do that? How do I stop my brain of thinking and producing thoughts? Great way. Use your tongue. Yeah, relax your tongue. Your tongue, for you to have an idea, I think, I don't know if I told you this before, has micro muscle movements when you are thinking. So we use that as a trigger to not think. And we use that as a trigger for us not to produce thoughts. We stop our tongue and we relax it to avoid that the brain continues producing thoughts. Yeah, that is one of the tricks that I teach my students and really works. Another thing that I would like to talk to you is calibration. Again, the difference that creates the difference. Yeah. So it's important that we are observers. It's important that we are seeing what is happening with the other person. You can is an article in my LinkedIn about a real story about the calibration and how this can be really, really relevant and important when you are doing coaching. So is an article in my LinkedIn. So if you are going to my LinkedIn and to the newsletter, you can find there that the real story. And I think is a great example. But of course, I have many and many. Even today, I just finished a session and was the person was talking, and we were talking about she was talking about the how sometimes difficult for her to let go of the let's say the pattern that comes from her family and her mom, and suddenly she used the non-verbal, like with the feet, you know, she put the feet on top of each other, and this I said, is that your child coming in? And she's like, oh my God, I'm doing it. So this is calibration, is detecting the shift by subject. For instance, sometimes you are talking about something, you say change the subject, and for the person instantaneously changes the body language. That is, you need to observe that. Doesn't mean that you need always to act upon it, but you need to keep that awareness. If that was in the context that happens, but you need sometimes to test it. If that was a continuous shift, and then you need to explore that. What I think that happens a lot is that we see a lot of stuff as normal people. We see a lot of stuff. We go around. We see a lot, but we are not always ready to act upon it. And sometimes what also happens is that we observe and we tend to produce a judgment, like, oh, this means that the person is closed, or this means that the person is distracted. And I go like, you don't know that. So you need to observe and get curious about it, not judgmental about it. You need to get curious enough to say, oh, okay, what this means for that person. You see how calibration and rapport are connected, because you are not saying, oh, this for me is that. No, you are saying, oh, what is this for this person? And then is the moment that you're going to do rapport, because you are curious about what that means for that person instead of making your own thoughts about what that is. See how this is going hand by hand? And when you are doing these two skills in a master way, your sessions will never be less than amazing. Let me put it this way. If you are only with this two, if you use this two with a master level, no way your sessions will be, you know, eh, no. Every encounter that you will have with your clients will be transformational, because not only you are going to connect with them and really getting them, but you are also bringing in a lot of information that was totally unaware for them. Sometimes just by doing that, you are changing the life of that person forever. Just by doing that. You don't need to have any other tool, you don't need to have any other specialization. Just by doing rapport with them, trusting yourself and trusting others, and bringing what you see, being the mirror for that person. Sometimes that is more than enough. I will say, if you are able to do that in a master way, you don't need anything else. But the thing is, you need to master this. And you need to be able to, again, go away from your own idea what that is, going away from what you think that is, and get curious enough to explore it, and not imposing your own perspective on other people. Just go and check, go and, relate with the other person, connect with the other person. Make sense what I'm saying? Yeah, our brain, for sure, for sure. Our brain is always trying to find the logic beyond. And normally we think that is the logic for everyone else. And it's not true. We are very unique in that sense. We make connections that are unique. So that is what is amazing in people, right? Is that I always say, people can always surprise me. Not by, sometimes not by the problem they bring, because yeah, in that sense our language is more or less the same, so we tend to explain things in more or less the same way. But when I go for how do you do that, what connections you do, that is like, oh my god, this is a totally different experience. I never saw this before. So I always say we are very alike and very different at the same time. So I get fascinated by that difference. I get fascinated by um, discovering what is your logic. How do you connect A to B and how that works, and is there any other letter in between? So that's what I find fascinating. And you don't have two sessions the same way. You don't have two persons doing the same thing. You don't have even the same, for instance, exercise working the same way for everyone. And that is what is magnificent, in our job, is that, yeah, no repetition at all. So we keep ourselves always, in this loop of wow. We are always like, wow. No, it's yeah. The comment is, the problem is not always what we think it is. I will say never. The problem normal is never what we think, because we have a very reduced capacity of seeing the dots and connecting the dots. So that's why it becomes really interesting to see other perspectives of what we are sharing, because I will say that the problem tends never to be the problem that I think that it is. So it's like, yeah, for sure. Explore that. Explore. Always, I always say, I believe, I, better saying, I trust my clients. I not always believe them. You know, I trust them that what they are saying to me is what they know, but I don't believe them in the sense of, let's see if something else. Let's see what is before that, and that is yeah, the way to go in my perspective. Okay, because the person already has a story. So if I believe fully in the story, I cannot do anything, right? If someone comes, oh, this happens because of this and this and this and this, and I believe that, I go like, oh, okay, so that is the only possibility. I need to believe and I need to trust that in some way, somehow, in some point of that story, something was not exactly like that, because that is the moment that we can bring transformation and change, right? So let me know if you have any questions, because I'm ready for a celebration. If you know what I mean. Uh, yeah, yeah, it's a nice saying. Yes, for sure. Find, yeah, I like that as well. Yeah, thank you for sharing. I like that as well. Yes, yes. So, if no more questions, we are, and this is what I want to introduce you today. And again, was again a repetition from the previous I think 2 weeks ago session. I hope this became a little bit more clear, and I think the sound today was okay, right? And I hope to see you next week. And remember, next week we have a guest, and is a special one. She has a beautiful, beautiful project. I think will inspire you a lot. So come and join us on an amazing conversation. And yeah, I'm going out for celebration if you allow me. So take care of yourself. Have an amazing rest of the week. And yeah, we see each other next week.